everyone at Cheryl from Teaching 2 and 3-year-olds. We are about to start week 2 of our farm theme, so a lot of what we have set up in the classroom is the same. Now, for those of you who have been following me for a while, the last 2 years we have been changing themes every single week, and it really was a lot. And I talked to my directors about it, we talked as a teaching team about it, and decided we were going to try to lengthen our themes for at least 2 weeks. And so far, I have to say, it's been wonderful. I don't feel near as rushed. I certainly know the children don't. They're able to revisit things. And we do make some changes each week because we're observing and seeing how the children are using the materials and changing things or tweaking things as we feel they're needed. So we have now been in school for about a month, and I can't even begin to tell you what the changes that we saw last week. Like last week was like when everything just clicked. The children can actually sit and listen to a short story now, and they can walk on the rope pretty much as we go to and from the gym. We still have to stop now and then when someone lets go, but they're getting it. We can even go short distances not using the rope. What we do is we say, take a friend's hand, and so they have to hold a friend's hand as we walk those short distances. They're remembering to, well, they're starting to remember to put their trash away. We still have to remind them. It's the little things, but we're doing the same thing over and over again, and so it really is clicking. They know what happens next. We have had no tears during drop-offs. It's been amazing. So it really does take a full month, sometimes even longer, for things to settle, and that is why I can't say it enough. Be so consistent in what you do. And I am learning, even more so this year, how important it is to let them do the same thing several times. And I'm going to share during my tour just how we did that. So let me take you on a tour of our classroom for Farm Week 2. Our block area is going to stay the same as it was last week. We have 2 of our barns out. We're using our train table. I absolutely love that it's so versatile that we can use it for different things. The children have absolutely loved using the tractors. And then they've been actually matching up the farm animals. You'll see them on top of the shelf there. And they've been actually matching them up, and they like to say that one is the mommy and one's the baby. But they really have enjoyed those big chunky farm animals, and they carry them around the room and they put them in the trailers, and the tractors pull them. They've had a lot of fun with it. Last week, we set up our water table so they were scrubbing farm animals. And I knew this was going to be a hit. Young children love water, and you don't have to put a lot in. We only put a shallow amount of warm, bubbly water in there. Just put some dish soap in there. And then they used the brushes to scrub, and it was such a fun, fine motor activity. So I want to do it again this week, but instead of using farm animals, we're going to do some fruits and vegetables that they grow on the farm. So we're going to have the same technique where I'm going to fill it up with water, warm water with soap. And the other thing that I added last week, after watching the children actually get engaged with this activity, I decided to add those droppers. Those are my favorite droppers. I'll put a link in the description. They're really good for younger children because the bulb is pretty big. And I sat with them during this activity and showed them how to squeeze to get the water to go up, and then how to release it. And it is a great fine motor activity. So I will have those again with the water table, at the water table, in addition to the scrub brushes. And once again, I'll have these printables available for them. We have the farm animal moving left to right, and then we have our farm color pages, and I'll put the links to those in the description. Our dramatic play area is going to stay the same. We have different barbecue foods, we've got cowboy hats, we have Western wear hanging in our dress-up cart, and they have been really, they're just starting to play more together. So usually when they're over in this area, they're still kind of parallel plays, but if I sit down at this table with them, or if another teacher does, and I kind of get them engaged, I start hearing some conversations take place. This is the very beginnings of them socializing more with each other. Remember, this is a very young group of 2- and 3-year-olds. They all are 2. We don't have any 3-year-olds yet. A couple of them just turned 2. So I expected this. I knew this is how it's going to be. But I just love watching how they grow during this time. And the dramatic play area is a wonderful place for them to learn how to use language, strengthening their verbal skills as they talk to each other. And our reading area is the same as last week. We have our farm animal puppets, which they loved, and we have our felt farm set, and we have our farm books. Our light table has the nesting barn, same as last week. The children loved putting the animals in and out. Some of them were not able to yet match the animals with the barn. They're younger, and so what they were noticing was they were trying to figure out why some of the animals couldn't fit in the barn. So it was great for them to try to figure out which ones worked best depending on what size they were. Our sensory bin is staying the same. We have our kinetic sand, and we have our farm animals, and we have our tractors, and of course, scoops, because they love to scoop. That is their favorite thing. And they've had so much fun with this that once again, I'm so glad that we are extending our themes because they have more time now to play with it. And another little pretend activity that we have some nests it's just brown paper. Then we have eggs in it, and then we have some egg cartons. So the children have been enjoying taking the eggs and placing them into the egg cartons, or they'll put them in one of the baskets. So I thought I would extend it over to our activity table. And so they have the eggs there, and they're going to use bug tongs and pick up the eggs and place them into the egg carton. Some other table activities we have a magnetic farm scene, and we also have our Melissa and Doug barn latches activity. Our Play-Doh is the same as last week. The children love taking the small farm animals and pressing them into the Play-Doh, making tracks. And then we have rolling pins, and we have some pizza slicers as well. And in our science area, we have been exploring corn, and I have to admit that this was way more exciting for the children than I thought it would be. Now, you can see small pieces there, and you know that I have 2-year-olds. This activity is only out when there is somebody sitting with the children, and they have really enjoyed it. I didn't even put the tweezers out because I thought that was going to be too difficult. But then I started seeing how they were able to use their fingers when they were pulling the corn out, and I decided to just try the tweezers. And I was very impressed that some of the children had really good control over them. And so they had so much fun either using the tweezers or their fingers to pull the corn out and put it into the container. And then another activity that I tried, remember I'm sitting here with them so I'm watching that they're not going to put this in their mouth. They're taking corn kernels and they're learning how to pour them from one cup to another. Our books this week are going to be Mrs. Wishy Washy's Farm, Cock-a-Doodle-Doo, Creek Pop Pop Moo, and Farm Life. And we are once again going to be doing both of these farm activities. We did these last week, and the children love them, and because I really love to repeat things, we're going to do it again. I took my farm printable that I'll have a link to it in the description. It's free. And I made enough copies so I could first make puppets that they can hold. I just glued them onto craft sticks, and the children held onto them. And as we sang Old MacDonald, I looked to see what animals they had. I said, who has the cow? And the children with the cow would hold their cow up, and then we'd sing Old MacDonald had a cow. Same with all the other animals. And then I also created the Find the Farm Animal activity. We're going to do that again, where you hide the animals and then the children have to find them and then place them on top of the barn. So this is a couple of ways that you can use this free printable. Music and movement is so near and dear to these children's hearts. They love music. It's a good thing because I always know if everything else kind of feels like it's not working, I know I can turn music on and I will get their attention. So since we were talking about eggs in the farm, I got out our egg shakers, and I didn't use a specific song necessarily with this. They just pick up whatever song is playing and they start shaking the eggs to the beat. But they did love using this when we sang Old MacDonald Had a Farm, but other songs as well. One of our art activities this week is we're going to be taking potatoes, cutting them in half, and then making potato prints. And we're going to use different fall colors for that. Potatoes grow in the farm, and so we're going to be using those with our art activity. Another art activity that we're going to be doing this week, we're going to be making barns, and I created a template, and I'll put the link to that printable in the description, and I just used it as a template and cut it out using just white construction paper. And they're going to first paint their barn red, and then the next day they're going to glue the popsicle sticks on it, and then they get to take some of the farm stickers and place them on top of their barn. And I wanted to take a moment to show you how we have been doing art these last 4 to 5 weeks. Every single morning during Center's time, we have covered our art table with white paper. We've removed all the chairs and we've placed some sort of like containers of paint out for them. And then we've changed what we have used with the paint. And so I put out the boxes of materials that we've been using the last few weeks. We have used sewing spools, wine corks, bubble wrap, rollers, cotton balls, and Q-tips. Now the rollers we actually used on top of the bubble wrap. We squirted paint on the bubble wrap, and then they rolled. They pushed the rollers back and forth on the bubble wrap, and then they placed paper on top to make a print. For the cotton balls, what we did was I took clothespins and I attached the cotton balls to the clothespins, and they used that to paint a pig, and they painted it with paint and shaving cream. That combination makes it a little bit thicker and gives it an interesting texture. And the Q-tips, we just got started on that. I'm going to do that again this week. I love using Q-tips for those of you who've been following me. It's such a great way for the children to work on their fine motor skills. They can't fist the Q-tips, so it's a good way for them to get their thumb and fingers in a good position. So these are some of the ways that we have used the art table. Again, our first art activity is during Center's time. It's free choice. Chairs are removed right now because we're still learning. And then it's just basically they're just covering the piece of paper. Sometimes in addition to that, I'll also put down another piece of paper that they can actually put the paint on. For example, we did our apples. And so as they were painting on the big sheet, I gave them an apple-shaped piece of paper and they painted right on that. So that was something that we could hang in the classroom and they could take home. But this has been a wonderful introduction to art for them, for painting, and they can come and go as they want. Sometimes this table's completely empty, then we'll have a couple of children, then more, then nobody will be there, then they'll come back. I want them to feel comfortable as they're learning how to use the different pieces with our art projects. Then towards the end of our day, because we have a little bit of extra time, we come together for a group art activity, and it's kind of the same as this, except there might be more individual, they'll have their own sheet of paper as well. So that's how we have our classroom set up for our second week of the farm theme. Again, check the description and you will find links to some of the products that are mentioned, as well as links to the free printables. And if you like what you saw today, make sure to subscribe and click on the bell icon so that you can get notified every time I publish a new video. Thanks for watching.